All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Protestant Libertarian Podcast. Kind of. So, for the next 4 weeks, when you hear this, this is going to be July 1st, I think, taking a look at the calendar, trying to get all this lined up. For the next 4 weeks, you're not going to be hearing any original content from my show. Instead, what I have for you is 4 episodes that I did on other people's shows that directly relate to the themes that I discuss on the Protestant Libertarian Podcast. And I know that most of you guys listening to this did not hear me on those other shows, and we got into some really interesting topics. So I wanted to spend the next 4 weeks kind of going through some of these other episodes. Of course, I got permission from the podcasters that recorded the original episode, and I also want to promote their podcast too because they're great. So why am I doing this? Like I said before, this summer I am taking a little bit of a break to focus on writing this book that I started back in January, and it's going really, really well. I'm recording this course at the beginning of the summer, like over a month before this will actually release. But the book so far is going really, really well. And my hope is that I could take most of June and most of July off from podcasting, or at least podcasting weekly, in order to just focus on writing the book. That's my goal. I wanted to get as much done as possible this summer. That way I can work on finishing it all up in the fall and early winter, and hopefully get it out by, maybe March or April of 2026. That's my goal right now. And so I'm taking the next 4 weeks off just so that I can focus on working on those books. But this does not mean that you're not going to get great content from my podcast every Tuesday, because there will be an episode. It will have just been an episode where I was featured on somebody else's show. Now, 3 of these episodes are going to be from my friend Kevin Burr's show, Faith in the Folds. If you have not listened to Faith in the Folds, I've been on that show several times, and it's been excellent every time. Kevin's been on my show a few times trying to get him back to talk about the Gospels. He is a New Testament scholar that has a lot of political beliefs that are very similar to mine, and he's been kind enough to allow me to come on his show and talk to him about all kinds of issues. And this was, I honestly don't remember. I have to go back to YouTube and take a look. But I think this was maybe a year and a half ago. He wanted someone to come on his show, and by someone, I mean me, to give an introduction to Christian libertarianism, just explain how libertarianism works within a Christian framework, and why the theology of Christianity and the political philosophy of libertarianism makes sense together. And so I did that, and we talked for so long that he made it into a 2-part episode. So I am going to, this week and next week, air both parts of that interview that I had with Kevin Burr on Christian libertarianism. What's really helpful about this is that it's, I think, a really good and easy to understand introduction to the relationship between libertarianism and Christianity, which is exactly what I try to do on this show. But if in the course of 2 episodes, you or someone you know just wants a brief overview, a brief breakdown of how Christianity and libertarianism intersect with each other, you couldn't get much better than the conversation that I had with Kevin Burr. Kevin's an awesome interviewer, and like I said, he has a great show. Please go subscribe on YouTube and give him a follow. You can also find him on Twitter, and I'll put all of his links and stuff in the show notes so you can get it. But I really enjoyed this conversation with him, and I really enjoy the work that he does, and I know that you guys are going to enjoy it as well. So for the next 45 minutes or so, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation that I had with Kevin Burr. Again, this is going to be the format for the next couple weeks. By the end of July, we'll be back into giving you guys original content, but I'm really excited about this book, and I want it to be done and done well, and I hope that you guys will get a lot out of it when it's finally published. So I appreciate you putting up with me, but I know that most of you haven't even heard this conversation, so you're going to love it anyway. So with all due respect, that's what we have going on here. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, I do not have the original videos for the podcast that I did with Kevin. So what I'm going to do instead is it'll be like, I don't know, here or here. I don't have to do the editing. In one of the corners on my screen, there will be a link to Kevin's video on his Faith in the Fold channel, the original video that I did with him. So you can just go and watch the full video over there. I know some people like watching these videos on YouTube, so go and check that out wherever corner of the screen it happens to be on. Or if you are like me and you listen to all these things on podcasts, and you can disregard the last 30 seconds and just continue to listen on, because it will be there. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging in. I'm really excited to present to you part 1 of my conversation with Kevin Burr about Christianity and libertarianism. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you next Tuesday.